Hi, and welcome. In this video, I'm working with Cameron, who's a 14-year-old high school freshman. We're using the preview, view, review approach with his social studies text. The goal of this is to help assist his reading comprehension by looking at the big picture, talking about the content, and then reviewing everything that we've just read. Okay, hey Cameron, thanks for coming. Good to see you. So, thanks for bringing your history book. Okay, so you guys are reading about you're studying the civil rights movement right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so remember how we've been talking when you come to speech about using the preview, view, review approach, where first of all we get the big picture, then we read, and then we kind of summarize what we read. Has it been helping you in class?
Yeah, it really has. I've recently been having problems with summarizing, and it's really helped me when we've been reading different texts during class.
Okay, cool, because Miss Briggs said that your test scores are going up.
Yeah.
All right, good, perfect. Well, let's go ahead and do this because you guys are going over this in class tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so I'm glad that you brought it to speech today so we can kind of work ahead and get that. So let's go ahead and just read me the title.
This passage is called the Civil Rights Movement.
Okay, good. And this is a picture of what?
It's at it's near the front of the White House, and it's where I think over 200,000 black people gathered together to like protest the racial segregation.
Okay, perfect. So they're basically in Washington Mall, right? All kind of
Yeah.
gathered around a protest. Good. Let's look at a couple of the other pictures. So here's Martin Luther King Jr. Giving his "I Have a Dream" speech, and then that says.
The spread of the movement.
Okay, good. So the big picture then in our preview is pretty much about the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King and all that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is read aloud, and I'm just going to have you follow along with me. And remember how we talked about me tracking with my fingers so that it would be easy for you to follow, okay?
Okay.
All right. For whites only. Signs with those words existed throughout the South as part of a policy of segregation, forcing African Americans to remain separate from whites. So let's talk about segregation. Do you know what that word means?
Not really.
Okay, so segregation means keeping people separate. All right, so what did your teacher say in class about segregation? Remember? With blacks and whites back then.
They said that in certain places there would be segregation, such as restaurants and buses and water fountains even.
Okay, perfect. Good. That's excellent memory. Okay, so segregation. All right. In the early 1950s, African Americans began to challenge segregation. In a landmark case, Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, the Supreme Court found that segregation of schools violated the Constitution. Okay, so kind of tell me that back in your own words. What did we just say?
Okay, basically there was around the 1950s, there was a very important case that happened, Brown versus Board of Education, in which they discovered that schools, if they were segregated, that would be going against the Constitution.
Okay, good. Nice summary, Cameron. Great. Okay. In December of 1955, Rosa Parks was arrested in Montgomery, Alabama for refusing to give up her bus seat to a white man. Led by a young preacher, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., African Americans protested by boycotting Montgomery buses. They won a court ruling declaring segregated seating to be illegal. So what's boycotting?
Boycotting is kind of like another word for protesting. Like,
okay.
It's a form of protesting in which you kind of like don't accept something. Like, for example, during the time after the U.S. gained its independence, they kind of like boycotted certain acts like the Stamp Act and the
So they refused
Act.
to participate, right?
Yes.
Okay, so boycotting means refusing to participate in something. All right, good. With the support of sympathetic white people, African Americans conducted one peaceful protest after another. They were often attacked and beaten by police and angry mobs, but they refused to resort to violence. More and more people began to support the demands for fairness and greater equality. Congress passed new civil rights laws to promote equality for all non-white Americans. Although prejudice and discrimination remained, Americans realized that they were making progress. So Cameron, let me ask your opinion. Do you think it might have been difficult for blacks not to resort to violence given how badly they were being treated?
I think it was kind of difficult for them because at the time, like, really blacks weren't being treated well at all, and they couldn't do much about it. And since at the time John F. Kennedy wasn't doing much to stop it until at one point when he said that there should be something done about it. Before that, they couldn't do anything else other than to resort to violence.
Okay, but they didn't. So thankfully they demonstrated peacefully, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've kind of gotten the overview and we've read through it. So Cameron, go ahead and can you kind of give me the summary bullet points of what we just said, what we just read about in here?
So basically we looked at different pictures, like at the Washington Monument where blacks protested. And we also talked about how in the 1950s, African Americans were trying to, challenge segregation, and because segregation wasn't right.
Okay, so that was a really good summary, Cameron. So let's go ahead and review the two new words, the words that we talked about. What does segregation mean again?
It means, well, it's a way of saying separating groups based on a certain aspect, but in this case we're talking about racial segregation, in which people are segregated by their color of the skin.
Okay, good. So segregation being kept apart because of a characteristic such as skin color. Good, okay. And then we talked about boycotting, and what did that mean again?
It means, not accepting something, like a certain act or law.
Refusing to participate.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right, Cameron, good. You've done a great job. So good luck when the teacher goes over this in class tomorrow. And when you come back to speech in a couple of days, just, bring this back and we'll kind of review before the test on Friday, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot. Nice job today. We'll see you next time. In this video, we saw me working with Cameron, a 14-year-old high school freshman. We were using the preview, view, review approach to increase his reading comprehension. For more information, please see the description on my YouTube channel below the video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.